Welcome to the Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast, bringing you the country's top podcast on the subject of internet marketing. I'm your host, Glenn Thayer. We're going to review a few websites today. With me today on the show, we've got the CEO of Intuitive Websites, Thomas Young, and Internet Marketing Specialist / Guru, Dennis McCarthy. Hi, guys. Thanks for being with us today.
Great to be here, Glenn.
Well, we're going to look at a few websites. We're going to look at npr.org and gazette.com. We're going to go through and compare and contrast these sites. We're going to look at the reason for the website, the organization and the layout, the graphics, navigation structure, the use of the photos, and then the content and the path to conversion. So let's start at npr.org, and let's start talking about that website. Let's look at the reason for this website. Obviously, it is more of a news-type structure.
Absolutely. Both of these sites are news websites, and their focus is to get news out to people. And, you have to think about what their reason for existing is, because it should be evident on the web. NPR and Gazette.com, they both get their revenues from either ad sources, corporate ad sources, or in the case of NPR, they get their revenue from member donations because they are a non-for-profit government entity. They also get government support as well, although that's been declining in recent years. Gazette.com also gets some revenue from folks that sign up and subscribe online or to the print version. But the bulk of the Gazette's revenue is coming from ads. So when you look at these websites and you think about what they're trying to accomplish, Gazette.com is trying to get people to buy ads on this homepage and on different pages on the website. And they're also trying to get more subscribers for their print edition. Now, a little bit of background on Gazette. It's our local paper here in Colorado Springs where we're based. They've really struggled. And in fact, many, if not all newspapers are struggling because of the advent of the internet and other ways to get information. So the print medium, 20 years ago, you got a newspaper on your front door. Everybody did, and that's the way you got your news. Now, you have dozens and dozens of different ways to get news. So the Gazette is trying to be an online player, and they're trying to transfer their major strategy from a print medium to an online medium.
Well, let's also bring to light, too, that NPR is National Public Radio, and so that
right.
is actually a radio station, broadcasting organization that's on the web. So we kind of have two different things here, that NPR obviously comes from the radio end, the Gazette comes from the print end, and both of them are delivering news online.
Yeah, and I picked these two sites specifically because of that. They're both trying to get ad revenue. They're both trying to get membership or subscriber revenue, and they're both trying to transfer news. But one site does a lot better job at it than the other. And for the consumer, for the user, they just want their news. They want their news in a format that they can take it in. What I like about NPR from a strategic standpoint is that you can listen to the news. You can read the news on the web, look at photos, occasionally look at videos, but you can listen to the news while you're multitasking and doing something else. Gazette.com gives you one option, and that is basically reading on your screen. So those are the basic objectives. So as we go through and look at some other things that they're doing here, we can talk about how they're either shooting themselves in the foot and not getting their objective accomplished, or doing a good job for their sponsors and for their members.
Well, let's take a look here, and let's look at the organization and the layout of both of the sites. When I log on to NPR, it looks pretty straightforward as far as what there is. I mean, there's a lot on the screen. And for me personally, when I'm looking at websites, I ignore a lot that's on the website.
Yeah, we all do.
As being the non-expert here, I don't pay much attention to what's going in there. I'm looking for something specific. If I don't see it, I'll go on to the next thing.
Well, since we're on the radio here, let's be descriptive about these sites, since you may not be seeing them as you're listening. The NPR site has a list of links across the top, and down the left side there is a major nav bar. And there are lots of call-out articles in blue underlined text that go all the way down the page. The page scrolls down probably three lengths. The Gazette.com site has a major navigation bar along the top with a lot of links. It has to be into the hundreds. And certain articles are also listed along the page, but they're in sort of a columnar format, and there's lots of ads mixed in with all of that.
Yeah, and the key thing about the two sites is if you look at Gazette.com, compare it to NPR, you'll see that Gazette really didn't structure the site so that you knew where articles were and you knew where ads were. So when you look at Gazette, there are ads intermixed throughout the page. Most of the ads tend to focus at the top, the bottom, or the right side of the page. But intersprinkled between the ads are important links for Gazette. And so, as Glenn was just saying, a lot of this stuff is just noise and it's going to be ignored.
And I'm looking at the Gazette site, and I'm tired.
Well, there's at the top of the Gazette site, first thing you see right next to Gazette.com is you see a Lexus ad. And so I'm assuming that whole part is advertising all through here. So I'm ignoring everything else that comes up, even though the menu bar, right underneath that Lexus ad, you have a search bar that'll let you search the site or the web. It looks like they've got it goes into Google. However, they're taking that off of
They
Google.
do a search. Yeah, I mean, why in the world would you have a Google search box in such a prominent place on a news-focused site? If people want to search Google, they know how to get to Google. They're not going to go to Gazette.com to get to Google. And the ads rotate. I'm seeing an insurance ad. You're seeing a car ad.
I'm seeing a Lexus ad.
Skiing.
And I'm not really sure where, like you said, I mean, they do have the ads spread throughout, so you really don't know where to look to go get the main news.
That's exactly right. So what I would imagine from what we've seen from users is that most people will then look at photos. And what they're doing with the photos is they're just pulling the photos straight from their newspaper, from their newsprint. They'll rotate these photos occasionally, but for the most part, and quite often, you'll see photos on here that are just boring and they don't say anything. For example, there's a no warning sounds photo here of a tornado that hit in Colorado recently. But you go down, and the second photo is Dancing with the Peeps. And the photo is so small you can't really even tell what this is. And it's not framed properly. You don't even know what the thing is that you're looking at. And so it gives the impression that the site is unprofessional. Go to npr.org, and you see a site that's structured very well. It's very easy to tell where the ads are and where the content is. There are lots of photos on the site, and the photos do what they should do in news, and they tie into an article.
Where do you see the ads on NPR?
Now, that's interesting because that's one of the downsides of doing any kind of ads on a news-focused website is they are going to get ignored. People are going to be drawn into the top stories, to the photos, to the nav system, and they're not going to see the ads which are on the far right.
Because the only thing I see right now is what looks like a Rhapsody ad, which it is an ad, but what it says support for NPR is provided by Rhapsody.
Right.
So they're a sponsor. So it's a sponsor ad, if you will. But the way they've made it, I think that's the only one that I see right now.
I have a UPS ad up.
Yeah.
Many times the ads you see are based on what you're reading. A lot of these ads are coming through like the Google Content Network. So the more you browse and the more you show an interest in certain things, the more the ads are geared towards what you seem to be interested in as a person.
That's true on most news websites like CNN and places like that. On NPR, they have some requirements about how you become a sponsor. You can't advertise directly because it's a government supported website. It's National Public Radio. But what you can do is you can sponsor. So that's why they have support for NPR is provided, in my case, by UPS, in your case, by Rhapsody in different places.
But I think that looks, to me, looking through the entire homepage here, that's it. That's all that I see for any type of advertising.
That's right. It's fairly minimal ads. And if they were to do additional ads on NPR.org, they would put them on the far right there. But the key thing to notice about organization when you're looking at these two sites is they both have big challenges. They're trying to grab your attention with the news, the latest news, and the stories that interest you. But how this stuff is organized is going to determine whether or not someone proceeds or just leaves the website. On Gazette.com, because of the scattered organization and the fact that there are many, many links under the fold that change in the format on the page, so you would have no way of knowing unless you scroll down. It's a nightmare as far as organization.
Well, it looks like what they've got up at the top, it says top stories. So you have top stories, and then right under top stories, you have headlines.
Then you have special reports, and you have the AP headlines, which some people aren't going to know what AP means, the Associated Press. But it's just it has. And then if you go down to the very bottom, you actually see another set of links
which looks like the section. It looks like the sections that they normally have in the newspaper
sections, which are also repeated up top, but in a much more. There's just several more links added that aren't key sections of this paper.
So let's look at some key points that we've brought to light that people can apply to their own websites. One thing you mentioned, Tom, was the graphics are all over the place, and there's no connection between the graphics and the stories. I think a key point there is that your graphics should be deliberate, and there should be a reason for them. The other key point was that the Gazette has no particular organization to their site. You really can't tell where to go, and as the reader, you're just kind of left to your own devices. Whereas with the NPR site, the organization of the site really guides you into very deliberate places.
Yeah, it takes, the NPR site takes less time to understand and just says we are more professional in how we've put this together. The Gazette.com site takes more time to understand and can leave you thinking, gosh, it doesn't look very professional.
And I don't think you can say enough about professional graphics and layout.
The
minute people look at a website that is unprofessional looking, you've lost them.
Absolutely. The thing that NPR does really well, they also have a long homepage, but because they have these multiple featured stories listed, and you could just tell if I scroll down, I'm going to see more, and they have the photo there to capture you. It's just very easy to use. So if you're a regular visitor to this website, in a couple minutes you can scroll down and see if there's anything that interests you that you want to listen to or read more about.
Or if you're a regular listener to NPR, you can recognize a lot of the stories or something you've heard on some of the shows, the regular shows, are actually displayed here as well.
And NPR does a great thing. They do a top emailed story. So they tell you they tell you what they think are the top news stories, but they also tell you what their group of listeners thinks are the top stories. And I think that's fascinating because I tend to click on that top emailed story just to see what's buzzing out there. The Gazette has nothing like that. In fact, following this website, it's hard to tell what they consider to be an important story. And sometimes the headlines are very cryptic, like accelerant source unclear, expert testifies. That's a headline. It means nothing. And that's a new headline. So I don't know what they're getting at, where the headlines and the photos in NPR are much more clear and easy to understand.
When we look at the use of photos, we talked about photos briefly here. If we look at the way NPR is set up, obviously when you want those other stories that are part of their normal programming, Rough Cuts, Your Health, Political Junkie, each one of those, they each have a photo. They each have a little quick summary of what the article is going to be about, so you kind of know ahead of time before you click it.
Oh, I love the summaries. It's a great idea.
And so not only do you have a photo, you can kind of see, oh, okay, this is what it's going to look like. You have the headline, plus you have a little summary.
Yeah.
It's very, very simple. You go over to the Gazette and you start going down to the sections for the Gazette. And like you said, you have cryptic headlines.
Well, and click on a link. Let's click on the top story link. It says the no warning sounds link. Once you get into the inside pages on the Gazette, then you really see the ads coming on. And it's just, for most web users, they're going to look at this and they're going to say, I don't like to read when I have things flashing and moving at me. It's just it's difficult to use. Well, if you go to NPR and click on an interior page, like the top emailed story, you see a very clean page with another supportive photo, and you see bulleted items, you see small blocks of text that are easy to read, and you see a go button that says listen. So it's very easy to see immediately, okay, that's how I listen to this. I don't have to go dig around and look for it. And then at the bottom, you'll see related articles and related programming going back years and years on NPR, up to 10 years. So, you want to learn more about this story, you can certainly do that.
So what does a company who survives on advertising do? As people become more and more blind to the ads that they see on the internet, how does a company survive in that atmosphere?
Well, for Gazette.com, it's an interesting proposition, and what I would really like to see is what the click-through rates are on these ads and what kind of responses we're seeing. Because what you might see is more ads that are branding type ads, which they just want to get their name in front of you. They're not concerned about click-throughs. But the way that where news is going on the internet, Gazette has to say, what is our role in how news is going? And their role really is the local take on news. So what they want to do is focus on a site that's easy to use, that has good organization, good clear organization, and focus on key pieces of local news. They're not going to have to spend as much time on the AP headlines and things like that. They need to really structure it around the local community.
Because anybody can get anybody who has their homepage set up as Google, can get it set up to where if they've got a customized Google bar, they can come on and all of their news is right there, and it changes.
Absolutely.
And it makes it really, really simple. So I guess if we really want to look at it, I mean, let's get down to brass tacks and let's look at the content and the path to conversion. I mean, what is the whole point of the website? What does Gazette.com want us to do? Do they want us to come here every single day and read the news? Or do they want us to be a subscriber to their paper so they actually get a hard copy? Or is it something where they want us to visit the advertisers?
Well, what they want to do is they want to put in the hands of their salespeople the number of visitors that are coming to this website so they can take that data and show it to folks that will run banner ads. And so they want more traffic, they want more repeat visitors, they want subscribers, and they want people on the site. Now, the key thing to doing that is going to be the content, the reason people come to the website. And if the site is difficult to use, not organized well, they're going to see flat numbers or even declining numbers.
And a big part of what's going on with the Gazette is their classifieds, and how successfully they move people into the classifieds is a big part of how successful this site is. And looking at the site, they have a strip along the top that draws people into the classifieds that is right above an ad, and you can really barely see it if you're not avoiding the ad to begin with.
So where is the classifieds? I don't even see it.
It's up at the very top.
It's up at the top, and there's also a pull-down menu.
Oh, it's above. It's above the banner ad that's up there. That's why I didn't see it. I ignored it completely.
So
I see that.
If that's an important revenue stream for them, they are missing the boat.
Find a home, apartment, find a job, find a car, classifieds, ColoradoSprings.com. I thought actually that was all part of the ad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would be interesting to do user testing on Gazette.com and see what percentage of users are able to accomplish even a basic task. For example, if you're a subscriber to the paper, you can log in and see the paper online in a PDF format. And every time I come in to do that, I have to go find the login button. And I have to think, where is that login button? Well, it's buried amongst the ads on the far right side of the page. And it says today's e-edition, which isn't even a hyperlink. You have to actually click on the word that says login. And then you have to get through a couple more screens, and you see your paper.
Oh, see, I didn't even see that.
No one's going to see that.
That looked just like another ad. It said today's e-edition, and I just thought it was a regular graphic. Okay, I see the login.
And that's a great point, Glenn. If you got something you want people to click, don't make it a graphic.
Don't make it a graphic.
People will think it's an ad.
I had no idea.
And certainly don't bury it over there with the rest of the ads. I mean, at least put it on the left side up under the logo or something, and get rid of the Google bar. There's no need to search Google. NPR doesn't have, that I can tell, a place to go search Google. You can search their website.
And they probably borrowed the Google technology to help them do searches on the newspaper.
Yeah, and I have a feeling, I haven't talked to Gazette, but I have a feeling that this is probably a template newspaper service type software package they bought, which is a web-based program that basically dumps everything in on a template. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not how things work in marketing. Quick fixes get you the results that quick fixes get, which are pretty poor to mediocre results. So, the Gazette's going to struggle. They're going to have a hard time figuring out how to make this online thing work, because the savvy internet user is going to come to this and say, "You got to be kidding me."
Well, let's look.
I'm going somewhere else.
Let's look at as far as conversion on NPR, because obviously we know that Gazette, the people at Gazette, they want to make a dime. They want to sell advertising, and that's really what it is. So if they can get somebody to say, "Hey, let's come in," and I guess there's two types of people going to Gazette: people that are looking for the news, and the other people that they're trying to get that information. Are they clicking the ads?
Yes.
So then they can obviously sell advertising.
Yeah. Now, NPR wants the same thing. They want people on the website.
They want memberships, is what NPR does.
They do. They want people on the website first, because that justifies their existence to the government to get the funds they need. They want people to sign up and become members. And then they want the corporate sponsors like the UPSs of the world. But I think the key thing for NPR is that content is what's going to drive that. Their content and their stories and their approach to the news. And it's just, they do a great job with the content, and what they've done on the website is organized it in a fashion so that people can come here, scan the site, get what they want, and then dig deeper into that story.
When I look at a website, I try to feel myself falling into their funnels, And the NPR funnels are pretty clear. As you're browsing the site, you can feel yourself going where they intended for you to go. The Gazette site doesn't do that at all. The NPR, they want us to go listen to their radio stations. It's real clear. They want us to become subscribers. Gazette, it's really hard to tell what the funnels are. You can't feel the funnels at all.
Yeah.
I completely see that. I mean, for me, as just some guy who browses the internet without a clue, NPR is definitely a better choice and a better format right now. I would definitely go there to find more news than I would Gazette.
And you know what's interesting? Gazette.com can go to npr.org and say, "Hey, we're going to do our site like them," or get it close. So
I guess the bottom line is everything contributes to the user taking the path that the designer wanted the user to take. The navigation, the organization, the use of graphics, the nav bars, and the whole package will make or break the site.
Absolutely. Well, with all of our folks out listening to the podcast, we end each of the podcasts with an action item plan. And so, guys, what are the key items that our listeners should be paying attention to when they're focusing on their own websites?
I'd say go into your own website and see if you can feel the funnels. Where do you want people to go, and what do you want them to be drawn to? And is the website drawing them into those places or actually sending them away?
Tom?
Absolutely. And, both of these sites have tremendous challenges with what's happening online with news. And I think that what you can learn here is that organize your content. Take some time and organize the content for the web. Think about the placement of different items on the site and how they're going to be used. And really learn from NPR and how they have taken their so many of their articles and put them into little snippets of content with a underlined link in blue and a nice photo that identifies what that is. That approach to web content can be used across all industries, and I think it's a good way to go.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely with these two sites, with Gazette.com and NPR.org, we definitely took an extreme example because the content that they're displaying changes on a daily basis, and sometimes it can change extremely.
Very high maintenance websites for sure.
So for all of our listeners, take that advice and make your websites awesome. This has been an Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast, and for more information and to see all the available podcasts and much more, visit intuitivewebsites.com.